Konnichiwa, I'm Asami, a pastry chef from Tokyo, Japan. If you are a fan of soft, fluffy cakes, Taiwanese cakes may just be your next favorite. These types of cakes are a bit difficult to bake without ending up with cracks on top. Of course, even though they often crack on top, they are still tasty. But if you want your result to be perfect enough to place in a pastry shop window, I'll be explaining the secrets to success in my course on Taiwanese Castella Cake. I've already uploaded the same short video recipe without narration. I'll leave the link in the description box below for you, so please check that if you prefer. For today's video, I'm going to explain baking tips and details so you can follow along as you make the recipe in your home. Let's get started. First of all, let's prepare the cake pan. Cut a piece of paper to fit your cake pan and make 4 cuts like this. Line the cake pan with baking paper. This cake will rise a lot, so make sure the paper is tall enough. I'm using reusable baking sheets here. We're gonna bake this cake with a water bath method, so if your pan comes in 2 pieces like mine, cover the bottom completely with aluminum foil. Preheat the oven to 150 Celsius or 300 Fahrenheit. Bring some water to a boil for a water bath. I've got 4 eggs here. We are going to separate them into the whites and yolks. Fats and oils prevent making a beautiful meringue, so make sure to clean and dry the egg white bowl well beforehand. When separating an egg into the whites and yolks, make sure no egg yolk gets into the egg white. The egg yolk contains fat and it also affects the meringue. Egg whites whip the best when they are chilled, so I keep them in the fridge until I use them. But leave the egg yolks at room temperature. Next, sift 75 grams of flour into another big bowl. You may wonder, you don't need to add baking powder, but this cake rises because of the whipped eggs, so we don't add baking powder and we don't use self-rising flour. I've never used them and baked this cake, but I think it would rise too much. Put 75 grams of unsalted butter and 60 ml of milk in a small saucepan. We will be heating this to around 80 Celsius, which is 175 Fahrenheit, but a large chunk of butter will take longer to melt, and as a result, some of the liquid will evaporate. So I recommend cutting the butter into small pieces like this. I have baked with vegetable oil instead of butter to compare. Since butter is solid at room temperature and vegetable oil is liquid, when the cake cools down, the butter one gets just a little firm and the oil one stays soft. But since the ingredients for this cake are pretty simple, I prefer to use butter to give it a rich butter flavor. I also baked with oat milk instead of milk as a dairy-free option. The oat milk one imparts a unique oat flavor, but it's still tasty, so feel free to substitute it if you like that flavor. I haven't tried other plant-based milk. If you try, please share with me the result. Place the pan over the medium-low heat. If you don't have a thermometer, don't worry, I usually don't use it because I'm too lazy to watch my thermometer. Heat it up until the edge of the liquid begins to bubble. Remove from the heat and add to the sifted flour. Mix to combine well. It will look like it has separated, but that's totally fine. It will combine well when you add the egg yolks. Add the egg yolks and mix well to combine. Then add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This cake is made from very basic ingredients. To be delicious, mixed with other flavors such as cinnamon, matcha, or cocoa powder. What flavor would you like to try? Share with me in the comments below. We're gonna make the meringue, so remove the egg whites from the fridge. Add 70 grams of sugar to the whites and start whipping at medium speed. I adjusted the amount of sugar in the recipe so it can be added all at once and still make a beautiful meringue. If you whip at a high speed, the meringue whips up faster, but as a result, your cake will rise too much and then shrink a lot after it cools. Add all the sugar first and whisk on medium speed to make a silky, stable meringue. You can replace the white sugar with alternative sugars. However, the egg whites don't whip as well, so I recommend the white sugar for best result. You can see my meringue is very silky and smooth. Whip the egg whites and sugar until medium soft peaks form. Stiff meringue will make your cake rise well but shrink. Change to a rubber spatula, add half of the meringue to the egg yolk mixture, and mix to combine. Before adding the rest of the meringue, whisk it a little by hand like this to make it smooth again. Because it has separated a bit, meringue will start to separate as soon as you finish whisking. Then add to the mixture, folding gently from bottom to top. Be careful not to overmix. Then pour into the prepared pan. Even if you mix the cake batter carefully from the bottom to the top, the leftover cake batter in the bowl contains more butter, which means this part of the cake batter is heavier and it won't rise as well. So after pouring it into the baking tray, stir a little like this to mix the heavy part with the other part. Tap once like this to remove big air bubbles in the cake batter. Place the paper towel or kitchen towel onto a baking tray to prevent a deep tray from slipping. Then place the deep tray for a water bath. Place the cake onto it and pour the hot water into the deep tray. If the water is boiling hot, it will evaporate quickly while baking, so slightly cooled hot water is fine. Then pop it into the preheated oven and bake for 50 minutes. After taking out from the oven, remove from the pan and remove the paper. This prevents the cake from getting wrinkles on the sides of the cake. You can keep this cake up to 1 day at room temperature, 3 days in the fridge, and 1 month in the freezer. Keep in airtight container or cover with plastic wrap. For the chilled one, you can enjoy it cold or leave it out at room temperature for a while or even warm it up in the microwave. For the frozen one, you can thaw at room temperature, microwave, or put in the oven for just a few minutes. I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, it means a lot when you take a second to give it a thumbs up. This detailed recipe is on my blog as always. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna go enjoy a slice of my perfect castella cake, so see you in the next video. ありがとう and さよなら. Bye!